Cat hair. Maybe this will lessen the coughing and clearing my throat that happens through all these videos. For our world-building efforts so far, we've had a strong focus on goblins. Today, however, we'll shift our focus to another favorite miniature belligerent, kobolds. I argued in a previous video that these beings, in 5e at least, are in fact actual dragons. I stand by that argument. For the moment, however, let's see what's written about them and find out how well they can mesh with the goblin neighbors we've been working on up to this point. In the 2014 Monster Manual, kobolds have one page, less than half of which is text when you discount the image depicting one of them and the 2 stat blocks for the common kobold and the Erd, respectively. Other than descriptions of how evil, craven, and subservient they are, we're told they're egg layers. They can live over 100 years. They have a very high death rate in their first decade, and they live underground, being very good at digging and maintaining structurally sound tunnels. You're right, that's not a lot of info. You don't want to be down here. No, you don't. No, you don't. Yeah, it's not much info, but it's a start. In Volo's Guide to Monsters in 2016, we find out that kobolds can live 120 years and reach adulthood at age 6. We find they're 2 to 3 feet tall and weigh between 25 and 35 pounds, and options and traits are given for creating kobold player characters. It's only a quarter page this time, but it's better than nothing. And later in the book, in the map section, we get a full page of text and a full page map detailing a highly organized and stratified society. The map includes specific areas, all delineated for mining, crafting, farming, storage, and sleeping. Specifically, they farm subterranean mushrooms. Wayfinder's Guide to Eberron in 2017, we get another quarter page. All it notes is a simple tribal existence, that they were formerly being held as slaves and they venerate ancestral dragons. It's not much. In 2021, Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse, it does help. There's a little bit more. There's a few more options for kobold PCs, more mention of their dragon ancestry, and a note that not all kobolds are evil, and not all of them are servile to dragons. So we don't have a lot to work with. It's not really that much. But that can be a good thing, because it allows us a lot of leeway. We have a lot of latitude for coming up with ideas and still fitting within the existing framework. Come on, work. I believe I may well have the slowest computer in the entire world. Okay. Lots of latitude, lots of leeway for being creative. Common thread in describing kobolds is that they dig because they really like digging. They actually enjoy mining and working for the collective good of their extended family and by extension their entire society. Okay, so that could be a good thing. We know they have a traditional racist hatred of gnomes, but this could be better described and understood as a hatred of the lead gnomish god for a slight against their lead god. If you take religion out of the picture or change it to another form of spirituality, even keeping the existing lore, that hatred could disappear altogether. Although highly family-oriented, it's for extended family. And it's been stated in previous editions, and not contradicted in current ones, that kobolds do not practice monogamy, and they raise their children as a collective rather than in independent family units. So for them, it really does take a village. Who knew? Also in previous editions, and not currently contradicted, is that a warren, being a group of kobolds all living in the same tunnel system, they will have a matriarch. This is usually the oldest female in the group. You could call her a kobold queen. She's revered as a grandmother to all of the rest, and her decisions and opinions are deferred to. Now, this creates a basic framework. Work, you fucking mouse. There we are. This creates a basic framework that fits almost perfectly with the goblin government that we've come up with. There's no reason that these two groups, these two species, shouldn't be able to interact and get along famously. They don't compete for the same resources or for the same territory, as one's above ground and one's below it. Along with all of their preferred food and obligate material needs. One primarily is above ground, one is primarily below ground, and every aspect of their life fits their environment. They could be in the same geographical space, one above, one below, getting along fine, interacting with each other, trading. There's no reason for them not to. Other than, potentially, religion. Don't you dare come down on this desk. No, you stay up there, baby. Yes, you do. At some point, if the two groups trade frequently, there's no reason that they shouldn't be able to come up with treaties for mutual defense, as they do share many of the same attackers. It's one of the few things they do have in common. In their canon descriptions, it's noted that the nursery or hatchery of a kobold warren shares space with the sleeping area. This is due to the eggs requiring... I'm having trouble. Don't you dare try... No, you're going to come down, sit on my lap if you're going to be a bad girl. There you go. You can read it with me, okay? Okay. We'll read it together. It's noted that the nursery or hatchery of a kobold warren shares space with the sleeping areas. This due to the eggs requiring warmth to gestate and hatch. It doesn't, however, explicitly say what will happen if the egg is left cold. You gonna calm down now? Yeah? Okay, you do on the floor. We can imagine that a cold egg might go into a torpor or hibernation mode for at least some length of time, only beginning to develop again when requisite temperatures are reached and maintained. You know better. On a societal level, this ability might be useful as a form of population control, dependent on resource availability. When food is scarce, then perhaps the matriarch only allows a small number of eggs to be hatched, while the rest are placed in cold storage, only to be hatched when resources are abundant, or when other circumstances, such as an attack or a disaster of some kind, might have drastically reduced the overall population. We might think this is inhumane, but we have to remember, these aren't humans. They might have completely different ideals, morals, ethics, and priorities than we have. It is stated in the 2014 Monster Manual that common kobolds are jealous of and don't get along with birds, those being the few kobolds born with wings. It says that this is because their wings represent a further gift from their ancestors and gods that the common kobolds didn't receive. This can be at least partially mitigated by remembering that the rest of kobold kind receive other gifts in various form, like sorcery, or their draconic cry. If we place them high in the mountains and living underground in caves, it might be possible for unwinged kobolds to find another way to fly, via mounts. Giant bats are described as large creatures, but perhaps there's a slightly less giant breed somewhere that would be considered a medium creature. And if it's a fruit bat, an herbivore rather than a carnivorous animal, it might be suitable for domestication and sizable for a kobold or any other small player character to ride. If you want to stop stat block for that one, let me know. I'll see what I can do. But yeah, I think a nocturnal kobold air force, considering combat flight mechanics, I think that might cause a lot of problems for any adventurers that might want to invade their territory or attack them. In the long term, with the example of our mountain hermit kingdom from the first world building video, the addition of other races and species of small folk might have an interesting effect on the appearance of our kobolds. Interbreeding over centuries, interbreeding with other egg layers could occur. So we can imagine kobolds with occasional traits from owlin or other small bird folk, such as feathered wings or beaks. We might also see traits from grung, like bright colors on their skin, or a poison touch, or even a frog-like grasping tongue. Maybe their eggs specifically have to gestate in water instead of in the air. I have come up with 2 kobold variants with traits that affect more than just their appearance. Those being the one described above, rather frog-like, and one specifically tied to salt water. Let me know if you want some more in-depth information and stat blocks for those ones. As always, like, share, comment, and subscribe to see more. Give me suggestions. Point out any mistakes I've made. Let me know what you want to see, and I'll talk to you next time.